Welcome to the official catch-up. Today I've got Jack Patrick of Gretna. How you doing, Jack?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. And yourself?
Yeah, doing great. We also have Chris Humphrey of Kelty Hearts in the conversation. How you doing, Chris?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Brilliant, guys. And I know you are both based in England, I believe, and I believe the lockdown measures are a wee bit different now. Have you noticed any change? Are you guys back at work or anything like that, or is it kind of similar in terms of Scotland at the moment?
Everything's just kind of chill at the moment. Everyone's in houses, clapping on Thursday, which is good to see. Fitness-wise, there's people going out in parks, stuff like that. So it's good to see that people are getting out. But it's just the fact you can't see anyone. It's a bit, morale's fairly low. People in houses are getting frustrated, especially in my house with two siblings. So gotta keep them on low profile.
One of the things we usually touch on, Jack, is it harder for the younger guys, obviously, with like say your social media and whatnot, that probably myself and Chris didn't have when we grew up. I mean, is it difficult mentally, and obviously you mentioned you're still trying to keep up your fitness and stuff. How difficult has it been for you?
Not that difficult, to be honest, because nowadays we've got Xboxes, we've got phones, we've got all the gadgets. And siblings-wise, they just do the same. We've got a brother who comes out with me on the bike. He comes out for an occasional run. Me and my sister went out for a walk. So mentally, I'm good. I think it's the same for everyone else, to be honest. So yeah,
good. And obviously, one of the reasons we have you on is because you won the vote for one of the things we've done for our listeners' team of the season. You've had a really decent season at Gretna, I believe. You came in this season, a 16-year-old, still quite young, Jack, but you've played in different positions, obviously right back, midfield, centre mid. I mean, where do you actually see your sort of preferred position, or do you just wherever the gaffer needs you, basically?
Yeah, it's a good question. Well, I came to Gretna as a centre mid. Chris played me in centre mid through pre-season, and many games went by where I was right wing, centre mid, centre back one game, everywhere basically. But right now I'm pursuing the right back role, so I feel good there. It's a new position, and every game I'm starting there and I'm getting progressively higher. So it's going well, to be fair. Yeah.
And what's it like? I know yous are both based in England, as I said, but what's it like, obviously, for coming up to Scotland for the majority of your away games? And they were obviously Gretna quite near the border, but is it tough on the travel side of things?
Travel, no, not so much with the bus. Yeah, comes through from work into Carlisle, then on to Gretna, so picks us up there most games, and then some away games we might need to drive up, which my dad's always there for us. He's always driving me to games, training. So yeah, my dad's a good support for away days and like far games. So
yeah, and I know it was similar with yourself, Chris. Obviously, I think 7-hour drives or something like that, 5-hour drives.
Yeah, 3.5 hours from me. But that's how much I love football. And when I was at Gretna, it wasn't so bad. It was only an hour and a half up there, so it wasn't too bad at all. But at the end of the day, Kelty also gave me a van to drive up and down in, so it wasn't one of those where I'm spending my own petrol or anything like that, which was extremely kind of them. And also, coming towards the end, Barry had said that don't bother coming in twice a week for training, just come in once a week, which he'd had a chat with all the lads and they were happy with. Obviously, he didn't want to, make it look like that I'm getting special treatment compared to everyone else. And I didn't ask for that either, because I didn't want that kind of thing in the dressing room. So he asked the question and the lads were sound with it. So, it helped as well. And to be honest, it frees my mind as well. I love driving and I listen to my audio books. I get phone calls, obviously, for CFI done while I've got so much time on my hands, especially if I'm going out 3 times a week. It's 7 hours there and back. So you can get a lot done in that time, speak to a lot of people that I need to speak to, and listen to books and just free your mind on the way up and down. So it wasn't too bad for me.
Brilliant. And I believe were you the one that brought Jack in when you were manager at Gretna?
Yeah, we did. We put on the trials for Gretna because obviously there's not a great pool of players in Gretna. And obviously when I took over, John and I had seen this, and I'd been to see Gretna the season before a few times, and I'd thought if I was successful getting the job, we'd need better players. But then when you start looking around to see if those better players are there, they're not there because they're either at Carlisle or they're travelling down to England to play or at better teams. The better players are obviously at the better teams in and around Scotland. So for us, I said to John, look, we're going to be one of those teams where we haven't got the money as well to bring in experienced players. So we're going to be that club. I want to turn it into that club that we go and pursue the young talent that's around Gretna, Carlisle area, and bring them in, bring them on board and what we want and how we want to do things, and then go from there. So we put on a few for 16 to 18s, but at the same time, Gretna wanted to start an under-18s as well because they hadn't had an under-18s before, so they wanted to start that. So the first trial we put on was for the under-18s. So obviously, this kid comes along, Jack, and many more. We couldn't believe the turnout, to be honest. There was loads there, weren't there, Jack? There was
a good 40, I think, on the first trial.
There was loads there, and I said to John, it's important that we go as well. Like, it's not just put the trials on, get someone to take it, and then that's it. So John and I went to every trials, and obviously Jack came, and we were watching the trials, and John and I are talking, and we're like, who is this kid? Who's this kid like? Obviously, you can see Jack. He doesn't look like he's just turned 17. He looks older than me. You know what I mean? Look at him with his beard and that. So we were thinking, who's this kid like? This kid looks good. And we were saying, right, scrap that. We want him for our first team. He's not going for the 18s. So I was speaking to Romy afterwards, and we're like, look, this kid, I want him for my first team, not the 18s. He says, you can do what you want. It's your trials. You're the manager. So we came in, we spoke, and it wasn't until he left that I actually found out that he was 16. So straight away, me and John are like, wow, this kid's 16. Let's get him in. Let's break him in and see how we can handle it in a first team scenario. So, I rang Jack, spoke to him a few times. I think you were at Workington at the time, were you, Jack? Or
I was bouncing between you, but
yeah. So I'd spoke to him a few times. He, just said, look, you've got a decision to make. You can go to Workington, who Daniel took over, a good manager, and may get a chance there, may not. But at Gretna, I'm looking for you to come in, be in and around the first team, and actually want you to fight for a place for the first team. So obviously he came. He decided to come to Gretna, came in. And I'll be honest, from day one, I was just so impressed with him. Obviously, Jack will tell you, we had the army in. Worked so hard at that. He was, his attitude towards working hard and being fit is one of the best 16-year-olds attitudes I've seen. And that's not just saying that because I signed him or he's one of our players. It's just the truth. I haven't seen many that have got that attitude to and the desire to work hard and try to be the best that they can be. So obviously, he's around the first team, loving it. He has a voice, which I loved for 16. Sometimes when you're going in around the first team, you're quiet. You see him quiet, they're shy. Jack wasn't that, straight in with the lads, having banter, And straight away, John and I said, you know what, this kid's going to be a leader. He had a few problems at the first because obviously with his age, he had to go on a different kind of contract. So that took months to come through, which we were absolutely gutted about because he missed, I think it was 4 games. Was it the first 4 games, Jack?
I think it was
7 games or something.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Yeah, a lot of games. He had the experience of playing against Motherwell, which was brilliant for him. And then obviously the contract came through and he's coming in and I don't know if you remember this, but at the beginning of Gretna, for the first 10 games or whatever it was, we had 10 injuries.
Yeah.
So we had 10 injuries, and all of a sudden, me and John are like, all our new players that we brought in were injured or couldn't come or whatever had happened. So we were like, you know what? I said to John, I'm going to just chuck him in. We'll chuck him in, see how he does. And then from there, he's just evolved. And obviously, when we got in a bit of a sticky situation, I sat Jack down and said, look, I'm going to have to play my older players just to try and get us the time. We were just dying for a win, to be honest, or a draw. And I said, we're going to have, people like Mally had come back and the older heads had come back, Jack Hunter and stuff. And I said, look, we're going to have to play the older heads, see if we can get a result, and then we'll feed you in again. And then, you know, we came up to the FA Cup where we played Barry, I think. It was Kelty Hearts.
Yeah.
Jack, you know, in the cups, I said, I'm going to play my fringe players, chuck Jack in. Didn't let me down. You know, didn't let me down at all. Barry came up to me after the game and was like, who's that, Chris? You know, because if you remember, Jack had played, I think you played, where did you play that first half? He played right wing, Jack, right? Second half, he played right back. So that's when Jack then gets introduced to the right back. So he's up against the second half. I've put myself to right wing. Jack comes in at right back. And he's up against Dylan Easter. Obviously, we know, for me, is the best winger in the league. Hands down.
Definitely.
And Jack did really well against him. So all of a sudden, Barry's like, who's that? You know, who's this kid? I was telling him he's 16. He's very good. Barry was very interested in him. And then really his career just kicked off. Obviously, I got let go after that game. But, you know, it was one of those where he was signed to CFI and I just thought, you know what, I can really help this kid. Like, he's got the right attitude. He's got the right frame of mind to be successful. And I've just tried to help him the best that I can. And he's really kicked on. And that's a credit to him. No one else, really. He's not got distracted with everything that's going on with Gretna that always goes on with Gretna. He's not been distracted about when I left, 6 players left and whatever happened. He's just cracked on with his football.
Yep.
And he's done exceptional and deserves everything that he gets. And let's be honest, he's done most of that as a 16-year-old kid with 21 appearances now at man's football, you know. Like, there's not much more you can say, is there?
No, that's excellent. And what was the sort of path for you, Jack? I mean, what was your sort of football career before then, before you came to Gretna?
Yeah, it was just Sunday League appearances, really. I've only played for 2 clubs, Stanwix and North Bank. Stanwix I was with since I first kicked the football, and I played with them for, I think, 12 years, and they were a massive part of like my career, just playing with friends, my dad being the coach, meeting new people. And then when North Bank came around, it was like secondary school, like starting on from there. So again, meeting new people, and it was just an experience where you're playing with your friends and then you're winning trophies with them. So you're getting that connection with the manager as well. And it was a good experience then. And then when they ended, it was quite sad because I knew I'd never play with my friends probably again. And then Gretna came along, went to the trials. Most of my friends went to the trial from North Bank and the league that we were in. And I thought I'd be playing with him in the academy. But then just came along and obviously he's just told the story there.
Were you a wee bit shocked at the standards? Obviously, Chris referred to, guys that I know quite well as well, but likes of Dylan Easton, who's obviously played, Chris himself obviously playing higher up in England and Scotland. Were you a wee bit taken back by the quality, or was it what you kind of expected?
Oh, no, definitely. You when you hear, like, you don't really talk about that league, but when you're in it, it's a completely different league from, say, Sunday League. A 15-year-old, and when you go into men's football, it's just completely different. You've got the strength of the other players around you, you've got your opposition around you that are like nearly double your age, and you've got to adapt in it, and I feel like I've done that very well.
Yeah, definitely. And I know Chris referred to the game against Kelty. I remember being to that game as well, and obviously seeing you up against Dylan, and you've done fantastically well. But
Thank you.
Everything that sort of went on at the moment, it's hard to obviously say, but what are your plans? Are you hoping to play sort of higher in England, or are you sticking with Scotland? Or
right now my place is with Gretna.
Yeah.
Obviously, if something came along, I'd definitely give it a thought, but I'm not going to jump ship straight away. Say if Celtic came, for example, I'm going to go straight there. Obviously, I'm going to stick with Gretna for a while. I've got to think of schoolwork as well.
No, I think that's and again, that just shows you what he's like, because, obviously we talk a lot with what he wants to do, and as an agency, we speak to him, and and get his thoughts on stuff, because as you can tell, he's not 16 or 17 now in the mind. He's a lot older and he knows what he wants. So it's just one of those where, what 17-year-old wants to also concentrate on his schoolwork and all those kind of things. Because I tell you this now, when I was 17, schoolwork didn't matter to me. I was at Westborough and I wanted to be there, and that's all that mattered. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I wish I had that mentality now, because it's the best mentality to have, because it can end at any time and you need to be fully prepared for that.
Yeah. And what about yourself, Chris? I mean, I know you obviously had a crack at management. You were at Kelty, obviously quite successful. Unfortunate how it ended and whatnot. But are you looking to continue playing, or are you looking to get back into management?
This is a conversation, I had with Barry the other day, and it's something that I need to think about big time. But you know what? I'm enjoying the CFI so much. I'm enjoying my player mentor role so much. And I feel like I'm a manager, which might sound a bit strange, but I feel like because I'm the one that looks after the players, as in their fitness, what they're doing. Send me your runs, send me the. I feel like I'm managing that way, which I always wanted to do when I was at Gretna, look after those young players and manage them. I wanted to be the best at that, and that's why I had John then, who was a very good coach. I think as a manager, you need to realise what you're good at and try and utilise that to the best of your ability. And obviously then when I started playing, it was a lot harder to do both.
Yeah.
But for me at the minute, and I think forever, it will just be this for CFI, because I just love the day-to-day, being able to just ask Jack what I was doing, or ask him what run did you do, or every other day send me a run. Or, we have our group that we've, our banter and stuff. So I like that side of football. So yeah, that's my thoughts really on the future. Playing again next season, yeah, I think I will still play, but obviously we don't know what's when that's going to be. So
yeah,
I've not paid too much thought on that, to be honest.
Yeah, and obviously you mentioned you've mentioned CFI quite a lot, and that's kind of like a football agent's kind of involving yourself as player mentor and stuff like that. How did you actually get involved in that, Chris?
When I was manager at Gretna, Ben, who's the founder of CFI, had a few players that I was interested in, and obviously they came up to CFI and we got talking. Up to Gretna, we got talking, and then we just became very close over a couple of months, to be honest. And then the next thing led to another, and then obviously when I left Gretna, he asked me, he said, look, would you fancy doing this? And I said, of course I would. This is what I want to do. And it's just kind of hit off from there, really.
What about yourself, Jack? How did you sort of get involved? Was it through Chris or were you involved before?
Yeah, it was just through Chris. I remember there was one game on a Saturday, Ben came up to have a speak with me and my dad, and he was just getting to know us, really, asking about how you find your time at Gretna. This was like halfway through the season. We had a chat with him and he was like, I'd want to sign you onto this. And then obviously I asked Chris for advice. He said, it's totally up to you. You can sign it and we'll help you through things that you need help with, or you can leave it and maybe come back to us later. And the Kelty games came around, and that's when I thought I needed that little extra information from Chris and Ben, because obviously with Barry having talks with his colleagues at saying who's this Jack Patrick and this and that, I didn't really know what to think of it and didn't really know what to do. So then that's when I thought, this is where I need Ben and Chris's help. So that's when I decided to contact Ben and ask him if I could still sign with him. And then he said, yeah, and then I'm in this position now where I can go to them, speak to them about my problems with football, and they'll give us a straight answer.
And obviously, just going back to your involvement, Chris, I mean, you've probably been at the top, as I've mentioned earlier, top levels of Scottish football, English football. Is that kind of where you get your experience from, and why you sort of say to the younger boys, this is what's happened to me, this is how I can help you, basically? Yeah, definitely. I think with Jack's situation there, it was never, with CFI, it was never to push him to sign with us to just have him on the books and just do that. I obviously had a close
bond with Jack because I brought him to the club. We did the trial, and we obviously, so we had a bit of history through that.
Mm-hmm.
So my whole thing was when I left, I wanted to continue that with him. Do you know what I mean? And continue to help him. Because as you know, if a manager leaves, that's it. You don't really hear off them again unless you're close with them. And I didn't want to see him not get the chance that he deserves. So I wanted to help him in every way. So obviously when he was signed to us, I was buzzing because then I get an opportunity to work with a kid that obviously I've already seen the desire and the attitude. So I get to work with him now full time and help him not to find a club because there's more to it, and that's what we're trying to bring to CFI. There's more to it than just going, oh, I've spoke to these or I've spoke to that. I want to make sure that what are you doing in this lockdown? It's been 2 months now. What have you been doing? He's been working very hard. You know, he sent me every run he's done. He sent me every cycle he's done. He sent me every run that he's done with his GPS on. He sent me all the information I need to know because we've been working together with that. And then all of a sudden, if there was any interest that came along for him, the first thing people are going to say is, what has he done in the lockdown? And we can go, there you go, bang, there it is. So again, it's just one of those where it's more looking after the player than looking after his move. That he's played well this season. That should take care of itself. We need to make sure that we're just taking care of him. That's
Brilliant. Brilliant, Chris. And I noticed I did have a wee check of your website before we came on, and there is a few boys signed up with CFI. A lot of them obviously playing in England and whatnot. But I take it's sort of similar. I know it's a wee bit different with Jack, having managed them at Gretna. But are you similar with a lot of the other boys?
Yeah, we like this with all the players because that's how it's so important, and we probably won't have many more players, maybe one or two, but we've got to make sure that, you know, there's only the two of us, so I want to be able to give my time to everyone.
Yeah.
I think that sometimes when I look at agencies, they've got 50, 60, 70 players. And it's like, how do you give your time to all of them, you know? So I think that's where we want to be a bit different because I want to be able to give everything to everyone.
Well, no, I really appreciate Jack coming on. Obviously, congratulations again for getting voted into our listeners' team of this season. Well deserved. Fantastic for a now 17-year-old just coming into the league. I think you've done fantastically well. Yourself, Chris, obviously, you know, I've seen you a fair bit at Kelty, and I look forward to seeing what happens with yourself if you're going to be playing next season or if you're going to step into management. All the best, guys, and appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thank you.
No, thank you very much.